Hey guys, the developers of Reverse1999, Bluepoch, just released the information to us that they are hiring people to work together with them to develop a new video game using the Unreal Engine 5. And that is pretty big news, and there is a whole lot to break down and to talk about. In this video we're gonna talk about Bluepoch as a developer and take of course their only video game on the market, Reverse1999, as an example, and we will see like what makes Reverse1999 a great game that is worth playing. Why is Reverse1999 very lackluster in a whole bunch of even very important aspects, and what does all of this mean for the future of Reverse1999? And we're gonna break down everything concerning the topic of them now developing a new video game. First, let's talk about what kind of video game are they developing here. Let's take a look at all the information that we have so far. This video game that Bluepoch will start developing once they have finished their recruitment process. It will be a realistic open world kind of game. It will be a team-based role-playing game with cinematic quality, high aesthetic standards, immersive narrative experiences, multiplayer, randomly generated battlefields, motion matching, humanism, and fun vehicles. So they are developing an open world RPG. What does that mean for the future of Reverse, as I said, and could this work, or is this like doomed to fail? To find this out and make a fair judgment here, let's talk about Reverse1999 a little bit. Okay, so what is like the core and main aspect that makes Reverse1999 a great game? There are of course multiple aspects. First of all, it's the summoning. This game is very free-to-play friendly. You compared to other gacha games, of course, right? We only talk about the context of gacha games here. And some things in general, I will mention that then. So the game is very, very free-to-play friendly because you don't need tons of copies of a character. You have to obtain the character once, and this character will be totally fine. They do not let characters fall behind. The quote-unquote older characters, like Eternity, like Melania, for example, they get updates to make them not only viable, but actually very, very relevant in the metagame. Not only do they do that, but whenever they release an Euphoria update for a character, they make sure that they give you a banner with a discount, and this is a very, very good and cheap banner where you are 100% guaranteed to obtain the character with just 70 tentpoles. Even less, because the first summons are discounted here. So it is even less than 70 Unilocks, which normally a character, to 100% guarantee you the character, it would cost you 140 Unilocks. So the point is, old characters are not left behind, and that means that whatever character you ever pull for, pretty much, right, is guaranteed to see some value at least some point. Yeah, Of course, there are examples that do not fit here, like Shamani, for example, is a completely useless character, even though he received the Euphoria update. Or right now, look at Druvis. 2 Euphoria updates, completely useless character, right? And yeah, there are more characters like that, but let's keep it at those 2 examples. That is very, very good when it comes to balancing the game. So Euphoria updates and also character creation and the fact that it is very, very free to play friendly. Those are good aspects. Also, another thing I want to point out is how they create their characters. Usually, gacha games always fall into the category of you have this underaged anime girl with big titties, and that's what you're gonna pull for, and that's what you call a waifu, right? Reverse1999 is very unique in the way that it is different. The characters actually are very well written. They actually all have great personalities, and they are not just these big titty underaged anime girls, but they are well dressed and they look very, very just good, you know? Look at the details here in this character's design, for example. And every character is like that. Great detail, great personality, well written. Another good aspect of this game, this is the last good aspect of the game that I will talk about, is the actual turn-based combat. This game, Reverse1999, is not only in terms of gacha games, but every single game on the market. I would even go as far and say every game to be ever created. Reverse1999 has one of the best turn-based combat systems ever. Right? And I played all of them. I played Lord of the Rings when it was turn-based. I played Pokemon, is one of my biggest franchise ever. I played a lot of Final Fantasy games, right? All of those games are turn-based, and of course more and more and more. I played a One Piece gacha game at one point that also is Japan exclusive and also has a turn-based combat. Then Pokemon Master EX and stuff. There's a lot of turn-based games that I played, and I played all the best ones. So I can confidently judge how good this combat system is, and it is very, very, very good. Now, you just, when I say all of this, you have to keep one thing in mind. And yeah, this game is free to play friendly, and yeah, this game has a good combat system. But it comes, of course, with a downside, as this game is, all things considered, way too easy, right? There's no content here that is like really, truly challenging. Even the reveries are, I mean, it's debatable if they are challenging, you know? And this will be trivialized at some point. All the reveries content will be trivialized. Like right now, yeah, you might face a challenge there, because you have to build like 3 and 4 different teams that are at least decent, and you just don't have the character pool to actually pull this off and stuff, you know? Maybe you don't understand the mechanics, blah 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 blah. Point in cases, this will all be nonsense and very, very easy to beat for free at the 2nd anniversary because of the power creep, you know? So yeah, and here we are talking about flaws and about the developers Bluepoch not being good developers in all aspects. And we can start off with a point that is actually a bonus. This is what a lot of the player base plays the game for. That is their story that they tell. In anecdotes, in these reflections here, in those very version-based stories, excuse me. And mainly the main story though. And yeah, if we only look at gacha games, right? Like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, you know, you name them. Arknights, whatever you want to name. Reverse1999 has the best story. That is just a fact. Now there's a huge problem with that still. Because first of all, we only talk about the context of gacha games. Okay, Reverse 1999 is the best story, cool. If we talk about like more games, then Reverse doesn't hold up. Like if we talk about Final Fantasy, this you can't even compare this story to stories that games like Final Fantasy tell you, right? But they don't have to compete with those because they have to compete with gacha games, and here they are winning. Still, there's a huge, gigantic problem with this, because if you actually go and check out the story, you will really fast realize what the issue is. Chapter 2 is always my favorite example when it comes to this. So first of all, the story is told in a very, very, very slow manner. It has so much incredible, nonsensical dialogue and just straight up filler. It is ridiculous. This is the fact for everything. For the prologue, for every single chapter, for all the story, event, lines, like whatever you want to know. No matter what story you look at here, there is a gigantic amount of filler. The best example, as I mentioned, is chapter 2. This entire chapter is only filler. And you sit through this here for over 2 hours. And you will only be hit with nonsensical dialogue and stuff that is not plot progression by any means. Like, you know, we can take this further. If you look at version 2.7, this Kiparina story, where they took her from the circus straight to space, you know, then like you go episode after episode after episode is only filler. I managed to I checked this story out because I like to cover I would like to cover this on my channel here, the storylines, but I was sitting through chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and I did somehow manage to get to chapter 7, and every single second was complete filler and only dumb, nonsensical dialogue with zero character development, zero logical. It was just nothing. You can completely throw this into the trash. You completely waste your time watching this shit, right? And that is a huge problem. The point that I'm trying to get across and explain here is that, yeah, the developers of Bluepoch are able to write fantastic stories, you know, but they don't get how to tell this fantastic story, and that is a very, very big problem. Like, it doesn't matter how good this story is. You know, let me give you an example. Would I recommend to someone to check out this story? Then no, I would absolutely not recommend this to anyone, even though I say the story is good. Why? Because of what I just mentioned. It is told in such a slow, sleepy way with so much filler that it's impossible to recommend this to someone that I actually like, because they would have to sit through so much dog shit that, I mean, damn. The good stuff is not worth sitting through so much bullshit, right? Some people might agree, some people might disagree, but I mean, it is a fact that there is so much filler here. How would you recommend this to a person that you like? I personally don't know. And again, there is another problem like this. Yeah, the developers are aware and they know what this game needs. And the thing that this game, Reverse 1999, needs the most is content. You gotta give your players some way to engage with the community, to like stream this game, give the players a reason to actually play this game. There has to be some meat to the bone here. And as I said, the developers know this. That's why they implemented this gameplay mode here called A Series of Tasks. The big problem with this gameplay mode is that it just fucking sucks. Sorry, I have to say it like that. It goes on for, again, way too long. The development of this mode with the expansions that they introduced, it got worse and worse and worse the more expansions they implemented. More and more useless items were introduced. It is right now impossible to actually find the items that you want and to assemble a good build, because everything is bloated and it turned into what I love to call a bum simulator. Like, everything that you find is trash, and you can't even sell all of this trash that you find to make like a few bucks even, right? It is impossible. You can't even sell the trash that you find. There's nothing you can do with it. It's just there, and it doesn't do anything. And it doesn't stop here. Now, what you never do is you never nerf the player. And here in this last expansion that they introduced, now what are they doing? They nerf the player. You will have to now choose your poison in form of debuffs, and it is just extremely annoying. Again, the space in your inventory is filled with dog shit. There's nothing there. There's no meat to the bone. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure that no one likes this mode. No one that has spent like 2 hours in this mode will say, "Hey, this is actually very, very good. I love what they did here." It's impossible, right? It's way too long. It is too easy. The progression is extremely shit because you never will be able to establish a good build, because everything you find is just dog shit. Now you have to, they nerf you by giving you like the most annoying debuffs possible, and so on and so forth. And you see, this is what shows us that like the Bluepoch developers, they shouldn't even attempt to make an open world RPG game if they are unable to give us a grindable, solid gameplay mode in a gacha game that has zero content to begin with. If they don't know how to properly invent or make this Series of Dusk gameplay mode good, I mean, honestly, forget it. Alright, talking about one gameplay mode that they completely destroyed and didn't know how to develop, which would fix this game in a lot of ways, but they couldn't do it. There's more. There's exact same shit here. Giving your players puzzles and something to solve that has nothing to do with combat understanding and all of this stuff is good, right? This can be fun. They do this. Every version they give us a gameplay mode where we have to solve some type of puzzle. That is fun. Now they give us this gameplay mode here, the 3 doors. And here is again where they go completely overboard, just like with A Series of Dusk. Everyone hates this for a very, very good reason. This is not fun. This is way too long. The puzzles are very, very, very annoying. And again, just like with A Series of Dusk, the developers are actually aware that they fumbled here. They do not develop this anymore. There will never be an update to this gameplay mode, the 3 doors here. And they also already told us that A Series of Dusk will not see further development anymore. So they know about the dog shit that they put out, and that these gameplay modes are hated because they are shit and they don't work, right? And this is now the case for a very, very long time. I can't even remember, honestly, when this game were out without the gameplay mode A Series of Dusk, and even the 3 doors. This is here for forever, and they did not find a solution to fix this. There is, as I said, these 2 gameplay modes, they will never be updated, and they haven't introduced anything new for us to compensate this bullshit and the loss of content that we have. So you see where I'm aiming, right? Bluepoch only gets like 20 to 30% of this game right. In other things, and even in very, very important things that this game absolutely needs, they completely drop the ball. They are unable to fix their issues, and they develop their gameplay modes that are again super important to the game into a completely wrong direction. And that is a very, very bad sign for a company that now wants to hire more people to develop a brand new game, especially an open world RPG. You might be saying right now, oh, yeah, this is just a series of Dusk, right? Not that big of a deal. Who cares about these puzzles from the 3 doors? I mean, pretty irrelevant, right? No, it's absolutely not relevant, because as I said, like A Series of Dusk, this is exactly the mode that this game needs, and it is unacceptable that it is dog shit. But, want me to tell you more? Think about what they did with the Wilderness. This mode is completely useless. Right now we see a quite large amount of new players coming in, and they ask me about this Wilderness, right? They research. No one covers this mode to begin with. It's that bad, and new players are kind of shocked when they found out, like, wait a minute, I have to build an entire city here. I have to fulfill like pretty tough quests that require me a lot of time. I have to pull here on a gacha machine to obtain myself the critters here, a whole collection. I have to go and I have to train these critters. I need specific characters to actually train them efficiently. And there is a lot of information here that I have to figure out to actually build all of this stuff. Setting up routes, for example, is always a big issue that people usually need a guide for to figure out, which is understandable. And you do have all of this stuff here, right? For absolutely no reason whatsoever. And I've talked about an issue with this in the past already. They release content. They use their workforce to create new stuff for the Wilderness all the time, and it's just decoration. There is, again, no meat to the bone here. It is just completely irrelevant, nonsensical time waste that these developers put upon themselves for absolutely zero reason whatsoever. And this is not good game development. If like 80% of your game with the 3 doors, with the story is lackluster, as I just explained, the anecdotes are kind of whatever, honestly. And you know, the Wilderness, the 3 doors, the Series of Dusk gameplay mode, then you have this artificial somnambulism which resorts every 3 months or something, right? This is like, they waste so much time with developing useless crap instead of focusing on the things that are actually important and that this game needs, like more content, like a grindable gameplay mode. as well. Like, they give us another thing that they completely waste their time with is 5 stars. They keep busting out free 5 stars. They put 5 stars into the banners. They give us free skins for 5 stars, even not on just for 5 stars, but for characters that absolutely no person on this planet ever plays. Like Apple. We just got a golden Apple skin for Apple with the Assassin's Creed collaboration. We got a skin for the character The Fool. Like, if you don't know that this character even exists, I wouldn't blame you. No one in the world ever played with this character. And they give us a free skin in version 2.8 in the anniversary. They give us a high quality skin for these guys here. For the twins sleep. Like, no one in the world ever used these characters, and they waste their time giving us skins not only for 5 stars, but for fucking 3 stars. You know, why in the world are they doing this? There's only one way that would make sense, and that is if at some point in the future they would give us a gameplay mode where we can only use 5-star characters and below. You ban 6-star characters from this mode, and then we have to build teams with 5-star characters and below. Now this is going on for months and months and months and months, and the gameplay mode that bans 6-star characters is still not here, and God knows whenever we're gonna get this. I bet you we never gonna get this, and these 5 stars will be completely useless. And again, Bluepoch is wasting their development time for dog shit that no one gives a flying fuck about, right? And what does this mean that they now recruit more people to develop a brand new game? That means that Reverse 1999 will suffer from this. The quality of the versions that we get, like version 2.6, version 2.7, you know, you get the point. The quality of these versions, they are bound to drop in quality. They are already very, very, very bad. It is always pretty much only a complete content drought and a story with huge amount of filler and hours of time wasted, you know? And now they need workforce to work on this new game. They, you know, they are a company and they will not recruit people enough to create a second company to then develop a second game. No, that is not gonna work. They're gonna recruit a few people and then use the people, the workers that work on Reverse 1999 to also work on the new game that they're gonna develop. And this, of course, will hurt Reverse 1999, especially in the long run. And this is why this news might sound exciting. Oh well, you might be like, oh well, I love Reverse 1999. They make a completely new game? That sounds like crazy hype. Even if I will have to wait 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, right? At least 3 years you will have to wait. This game is not coming out before at least 3 years, right? Keep that in mind. And this might sound really hype because you can now be hyped for the future, but don't forget that Reverse 1999 is gonna suffer from this. This is always the case every single time for every single game, right? Other developers like Grinding Gear Games did this as well. They had Path of Exile 1 and the development for Path of Exile 2 hurt Path of Exile 1, and now Path of Exile 2 came out and is like not even close to be good enough of a game. And this happens everywhere, right? This was just an example. And the same thing will now happen to Reverse 1999. And yeah, you decide yourself what do you think about this. To give you like my final opinion, do I think this is good news? Is this bad news? Does this game that Bluepoch develops, it has a potential in my opinion, right? And yeah, there is some hope, because the very most important thing about a video game is, you guessed it, the gameplay. And the gameplay in Reverse 1999, with its very, very good turn-based combat, is fantastic. So if they would now manage to make another game with fantastic combat, they would have the very most important part done very, very good, you know. And you know, they can write good stories, they just have to fix the way in which they tell them. And they have very, very good aesthetics, the style and the characters and everything looks very, very good and is well written. But there's of course more to a video game than just the combat and just the look of it. And there's even more, even in the story, right? You have to have a complete game where all the gameplay modes, all the aspects of the game come together and make a full product. And this is where it gets scary. If a company develops a gacha game for like over 2 years right now, and this game is still incomplete with content, non-stop content droughts, has problems in it that can be fixed, but they didn't manage to do this. They take months and months and months, and they still did not fix the problems that this game has. It's stagnant, it's bloated and not complete. While this game gets developed for over 2 years right now. We are past the 2nd anniversary. And the game is still incomplete, and the developers are clearly unable to fix their issues. Even though they are aware of them. They know what they did wrong, right? They know the series of Dusk is shit. They know a 3 Doors is shit. They know the wilderness is boring and useless as hell, right? That's why they don't develop these gameplay modes anymore. They are on ice, right? Except for the wilderness. This is like a decoration thing that they for some reason keep alive. And then all of this time waste that I talked about with the useless shit for the 5 stars, and you know, tons and tons and tons of problems for such a long period of time in a gacha game. Boy, I mean, that is extremely rough. And an open world RPG is much, much more of a challenge than a gacha game. So I don't have much hope, if I'm being honest, because of these reasons. Like, they are unable to fix their mistakes and they waste a whole bunch of time, and Reverse 99 is now gonna suffer from this. So to me personally, I don't have much hope, just a little bit, because they might develop a fun combat and stuff. They might give us a new free-to-play friendly game, right? We will see about that. My hopes are not very, very high, and I'm even a little bit scared about Reverse 1999's future at this point. But you let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below. If you like Reverse 1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate that. But until next time, don't forget to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. Take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.